Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to do a Kickstarter preview of the game Clash of the Ardennes. So let's go ahead down to the table here. I'll give you a general overview of the game, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so this is a typical setup of Clash of Ardennes. You're going to separate out your unit tiles and place them out to each player. The ally gets the ones with the ally markers, and the axis ones get the end with the axis markers on it, right there. So after you place those tiles out, you're also going to get your conquer markers, and then you're going to get an objective card. And this objective card determines what you have to do to win the game. Like this one here, you have to conquer 2 streets before your enemy conquers any. So this one here, you're going to want to move really fast. So after you get your objective card, you're ready to start the game. To start the game, you will take your turn by spending up to 4 action points. Now, the 4 action points you can spend are simply paying 1 action point to deploy a unit. So I could spend that as many times as I want. So if I wanted to spend all 4 action points on deploying units, I can. The next thing I could do is I could spend 2 action points to take the rear unit, which is the tank in this case, and put it to the front of my column. The next thing I can do is I can spend 2 action points to take my leading unit and put it back into my stock. The last thing you could do is you could spend 3 action points to return a blocked unit. And what will happen with that is, let's say we come up here. And this is the setup currently. Now, my infantry can be returned because I'm not going to fight, or we're not fighting. And I can return my infantry back to my stock. That costs me 3 points. So you get 4 points per turn to take your different actions, and you can of course repeat your actions and stuff like that. So the reason why you actually may want to return this is because of how combat is done. Combat is done in the hierarchy order, where the most powerful unit defeats the weakest unit. So in this case, a tank will beat a soldier will beat a anti-tank mine, and an anti-tank mine will beat a tank. Now that's the basic hierarchy for it. There are some sub-hierarchies in there too, where for soldier wise, a sergeant will beat a corporal, who will beat a private. And then we have some special units, which we'll go over in a second. So our special units, we actually have the general. The general will behave like the regular soldier units, except for he's the highest rank of the soldier units. The other advantage to this guy is that he moves really far. So you'll notice that each of these have a different length. So if you're trying to get like this objective, where you have to win really quickly, you're going to want to put out these pieces that move you across the board as fast as possible. You have another unit also that's called a spy. Now you only have 1 general, you only have 1 spy. And here is a spy. Okay, before we talk about the most powerful unit in the game here, the spy, we're going to go over a couple little things with the combat. So when you actually fight, what you're end up going to do is the unit that wins is going to destroy the unit here, and that will go back into that player's supply. But he also gets rid of all of the same units in that row, which will create a gap and let them continue on. If 2 of the same units fight each other, they wipe each other out and no more, just the 2. The goal is you're trying to get your tiles all the way over to the end of the street. And if you get your end of the street, you can put down your marker there. If you put down your marker, you lock in those tiles in the street. They can't be removed anymore, they can't be touched. You've won that street, but you don't get those tiles anymore to place throughout the rest of the battlefield. So that's something to keep in mind. That is basic combat, and with that said, the spy will beat anything, but unlike the rest of the units where they can pretty much wipe out a street, the spy can only take out 2 units. And if 2 spies fight each other, they will take each other out. So that is the downfall to the spy, but the spy is the highest powered unit. And there's 2 other cool special units. There is, where'd it go? There he is. There is your command tank, and your command tank's really cool because he attacks in all the directions indicated. So you could take out up to 3 streets worth of soldiers or whatnot with this tank. So, and it's also a higher rank than the other tanks. So you also finally will have the special unit, the mortar. Now the mortar will fire up to fires 2 streets away. So this is good for distance. So you can try to truncate another player's attempt to take out a street by moving 2 streets over and putting the special mortar unit down. Now this is just a general idea of how to play the game, but that's how you would do it. You go through your turns, take up to 4 points, try to take out the different streets, try to slow down your enemy, be very careful on the units that you place out because they are going to cost a lot to retrieve instead of just placing stuff out. So there's a lot of strategy in what you're going to do there. There's also a lot of strategy on what units you want to risk when you're actually trying to take a street, because again, those units are locked on the board and you can't use them again. So the game will continue until someone meets their victory point, and then a winner is, or their victory card, sorry, and then a winner is declared and the game is over. So that's the general gist of how to play the game. Remember, this is a prototype game. This is a beautiful prototype, but it is a prototype game. So let's go ahead back up to the table here and I'll give you my final thoughts on Clash of Ardennes. So I really love Clash of Ardennes. I think it is a wonderful abstract strategy game. I love that you have all your units for you from the beginning till the end. The decisions that you make when you take streets and lock down those units are very meaningful. The decisions you make when you place units or retreat units is very meaningful for you. I like the fact that the only random element in the game is the victory conditions, because what that offers and gives is an opportunity to have a different objective that the opponent doesn't know beforehand. So what that means is, being an abstract strategy game, that your opponent can't have a predefined strategy necessarily before the game starts. So the strategy has to evolve during the gameplay, which is a big, big plus for the game. I like the... Now, just to say that this is a prototype game, and this is a Kickstarter preview for it. So the components and the rules and the art are subject to change. But with that said, as a prototype, this is a beautiful prototype. The art is wonderful. I love the wood components on it. I like everything's wood components actually in this game except for the player cards currently. So with that said, this is wonderful production quality, wonderful art. It actually helps out a lot with the strategic portion of the game because you feel that the units that you're placing with the powers that they have match. And the tanks are really cool to place down because they move. They could clip a speed down the street. They're super powerful. There is a lot of fun in just placing those units, and even though it is an abstract strategy game, it does feel like you're going to be deploying a tank or you're going to deploy a soldier. And I love the ranking systems in the soldiers and all the little details that went into this game. So as for an abstract strategy game, this is probably my favorite. I would rank this one a 10 out of 10 for abstract strategy. It is a wonderful game. If you like that genre and you like that area, this is a game that you definitely want to check out. So that's my thoughts on Clash of Ardennes. You can check out their Kickstarter page. It's going to be in the links down below. And thank you for watching.